What's up, everybody? Welcome back. So this is a video that I've been thinking about for a pretty long time now, months in fact, and it's pretty difficult task to tackle to actually explain this video the way that I want to explain it, but I decided I guess it's finally about time for me to do it. So this will be a video about me explaining the neutral game and breaking it down like no one else has ever done it before, right? There are some good videos out there kind of giving you an idea of what neutral is. And I'm going to touch over that for a second as well, but I'm going to go further than that and break it down into certain kind of steps. Different categories of the neutral game. But so yeah, this is going to be one of the most important videos I've made so far, and I highly recommend that you pay attention for this video. If you're doing anything else, I recommend that you just like turn it off for a minute or just pause it, whatever you're doing, and pay sole attention to this video just this one time, because this is going to be a fairly complicated topic, I think, with a lot of information. So yeah, if you want to pick up as much as you can from this, I recommend that you pay attention and watch the video in its entirety. It's going to be me breaking down an entire concept. Also, towards the end of the video, I will be breaking down JDCR's gameplay in his most recent tournament and explaining how him switching up his styles relates to what I'm going to be breaking down in this neutral video here. So I'm going to be breaking it down with examples of JDCR's gameplay. So stick around if you want to see that as well. So with that being said, I'm just going to jump into it with the kind of a definition of what neutral is, right? So neutral is basically just this, like what you see here, right? It's just you and your opponent kind of standing on even footing, right? Even ground. You're just moving around kind of like this, right? This is neutral. In a very simplistic definition form, that's neutral, right? And neutral consists of the decisions that you make, the moves that you use, and when you choose to use those moves, plus your movement, and many other factors contribute to your neutral game from this position here, right? Where you're both just kind of moving around and standing. So that's a quick definition of what neutral is. It's not that complicated. That's pretty much all it is, right? So now I'm going to be breaking it down into 3 different categories, and these 3 categories are based off my own personal theories. No one has told me this. I haven't seen anyone else do this before, so this is all brand new stuff that I've created based off my own analysis of the game, right? So 3 different categories. I'll be breaking it down into aggressive, defensive, and baiting, right? So those are the 3 categories, and you can think of these as kind of like a rock paper scissors match. So rock beats scissors, scissors beats paper, and paper beats rock, right? So in that same fashion, offensive beats baiting, baiting beats defensive, and defensive beats aggressive. So you need to learn how to play in all 3 of these different play styles to be a great player. Like, this is if you want to be a great player, right? So the only difference between rock, paper, scissors and these 3 categories is that you're not guaranteed to win if you play the counter to your opponent. You still have to be a great player, and you still have to outplay your opponent and play the style properly, but it does give you an advantage over them, right? So it's extremely important. So I'm going to start by breaking down the first category, which is the aggressive play style. And I think this is the simplest one. So this is the one that I think most people learn when they first start playing Tekken. And this is you basically pressuring your opponent, right? You're going in, you're attacking. You could be moving around too and still being elusive, but it's all about pressuring your opponent. So that's what aggressive is. It's pretty simple. So now this one's a little more complicated, not too much, but this is the defensive style. This is where you're kind of maintaining your distance. You want to stay far away from your opponent. And again, you're using this to counter their aggressive style, right? So you're staying far away from your opponent, you're maintaining distance. Sorry. And you can use things called keep out moves as well. So for Horang, that might be like a down forward 2, for example. And you're using a keep out move to keep your opponent away from you, or to time your opponent's attack and to beat them to the attack. So you're interrupting them as they're coming in. That's the goal of playing keep out. So that's one way you could play the defensive style. Also, you could just maintain your distance and use your movement to evade their incoming attacks. So you're basically just playing defense against your opponent, right? So that's the defensive style. And then you have the baiting style. Now the baiting style is where you're pretending to be aggressive, but you're still maintaining your distance somewhat. And this is meant to counter the defensive style, right? Because you're baiting, you're usually trying to bait like keep out moves. So if your opponent's using like down forward 2, you might pretend like you're going in, and you might even go in and attack every now and then. But your goal is to make your opponent feel pressured, even though you're not really pressuring them that hard. And make them feel pressured enough to try to counterattack you before you come in. So when you do that, you're baiting out their attacks, and then likely you're either block punishing or whiff punishing them, right? So that's kind of the goal of the baiting style. So baiting beats defensive because you're baiting out their keep out moves and then you're punishing them. Defensive beats aggressive because you're timing their attacks and you're using your keep out moves to keep them away from you, right? Hopefully if you're doing it properly. And then aggressive beats baiting because baiting is like kind of staying at a closer distance and they're pretending to come in, but you're just initiating the attack and you're going in on them, and you're not, you're not waiting for them to, you're not giving them the distance they need to punish you properly. You're going in and you're forcing the attack on them. And don't worry, I'll give you plenty of examples of this stuff in a moment. So that's the breakdown of the 3 different styles. So I'm going to kind of illustrate this now with some of JDCR's gameplay from the most recent tournament that he just won, Electric Cancel, right? Alright, so in the most recent tournament, JDCR faced off against Rest, which is a Hwoarang player. And both of them were switching up their styles to adapt to each other. So I'm going to show you the neutral styles illustrated in this video. So I just have the sound muted because the commentators are pretty loud. But so notice here, Rest is playing a baiting style. He's pretending to be aggressive, but he's not really going in. Right? Notice JDCR is beating him to the punch every time. He's playing aggressive. So he's playing the style that counteracts Rest's style right here. So Rest is going to have a fairly hard time with JDCR in these first couple rounds. He got a good read on that, still. Even with that good read, JDCR is playing the correct style to win, right? So again, Rest is still baiting. JDCR is going in. He's initiating the attack. It's giving Rest problems because he's not playing the correct style to counter him, right? Still a close match though, but. See, again, JDCR is the first one to initiate the attack. So this goes on for pretty much the entire match. I'm not going to show the entire match because I don't have commentating skills to continue. But yeah, basically, JDCR, Rest does end up winning this match actually, but JDCR is playing the proper neutral style to beat him. So it's just kind of a chance thing, but yeah, that was the aggressive style. So now we're going to move on. So yeah, now we're going to move on to when they start adapting to each other a little bit. So that first style was kind of the aggressive versus the baiting style. Rest was playing baiting. He was trying to maintain his distance. He was pretending to be aggressive, but JDCR wasn't falling for it. He's super smart, one of the best players ever. So he played the aggressive style, kind of calling his bluff, right? So now we're going to watch them adapt to each other, right? Okay, so in this instance, we're going to see Rest playing the defensive style. He's switched to the defensive style to adapt to JDCR's pressure game, right? To adapt to his aggressive style. So Rest will be playing the defensive style here to adapt to JDCR's aggression, right? So watch this. He's moving away, staying back. Boom. He timed in JDCR's attack and used the keep out move, right? He timed JDCR's attack right there and used the keep out move. So Rest is now playing the defensive style. Now JDCR will catch on to this eventually and switch his style to baiting in order to counter him. So we're going to skip to that in a second here. All right, so here we're going to watch him, JDCR switch it up to the baiting style, right? So he goes in, he pretends like he's being aggressive right there. He caused Rest to whiff because Rest was playing the defensive style, so he was using keep out moves. JDCR switched to the baiting style. He caused Rest to whiff his keep out move right here. Then he went for the whiff punish. Right there. So you see that? He timed Rest's keep out move with the baiting style, and then he went for the whiff punish. Unfortunately, he was a little bit too slow, and Rest ended up blocking that, right? But it happens again in a few seconds. Alright, so right here it's about to happen again, right? So Rest is still playing defensively for the most part. He's playing the defensive style. JDCR is pretending to be aggressive to bait out Rest's keep out moves, which is what he's using in his defensive style of play, right? He's going to bait out the keep out move, cause the whiff, and then whiff punish him with the baiting style. See that? JDCR pretended to go in, then he stopped. Rest used his keep out move because he thought he had JDCR's offense timed, but JDCR switched it. Boom, whiff punish right there. So this is in essence what's going on when you're watching matches, right? You can kind of use this to analyze matches better and understand how the players are adapting to each other. They're not just adapting to which moves they're using or when they're using their attacks even. They're adapting to each other's neutral play styles in the match. So JDCR started off aggressive. He was pushing the offense to beat Rest's baiting style, who was pretending to be aggressive but not really, but he wasn't really. And later on in the match, Rest adapted by using the defensive neutral style to time JDCR's aggression and kind of like counter him, right, to beat him to the punch. JDCR adapted to that and started using the baiting style to bait out Rest's keep out moves and then launch punish him like he just did right there. So I understand that's pretty complicated. I gave you guys a bunch of terminology, a bunch of information, definitions, and the breakdown may not have necessarily explained everything in full detail. So if you have any questions, please ask me in the comment section below. I'll answer all of your questions. If you enjoy this kind of video, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps me a lot and it motivates me to continue making content like this. And I guess that'll about wrap it up. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.